All right, let's dive into what is, seriously, one of the most magical parts of the entire filmmaking process, color grading. This is where your footage stops being just a recording and starts becoming a movie.
Okay, let's just jump right in and show you what I mean. On the left, you've got the raw footage. See how it looks kind of flat, a little washed out? Now, look to the right. That's the exact same shot after color grading. And it's not just that the colors are better, right? It's the whole feeling. It goes from just a video of a sunset to this dramatic, emotional moment. That powerful transformation is exactly what we're going to break down. Because that's the whole point. We're transforming simple recordings into powerful stories that make people feel something. And in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on how the pros do it and break it down into simple, clear steps that, trust me, anyone can follow. So, here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about the why, the real power of color. Then we'll set up our digital canvas. After that, we'll walk through the two big steps, correction and the creative grade. And we'll wrap it all up with those final professional touches. So what are we really doing here? I mean, color is so much more than just making a shot look pretty. It's about psychology. It's about mood. You can use color to tell your audience how to feel. You know, a sci-fi thriller feels cold, maybe a little unsettling, with all those blues and greens. But a rom-com feels warm and cozy with golds and reds. That's the power we're learning to use. Everything, and I mean everything, starts with color correction. Now think of this as the boring but super important technical step. The goal here isn't to be an artist yet. It's to be a scientist. We're just trying to make the image look real. We're balancing everything so that the whites are actually white, blacks are black, and skin tones look natural. This gives us a perfectly clean, neutral starting point. Okay, once the image is corrected, then we get to have fun. We move on to color grading. This is the art. This is where you apply a style to create an emotion. So if correction is about making it look real, grading is about making it look good. It's how you get that iconic, sickly green look from The Matrix or those super vibrant, dreamy colors in a movie like Amelie. And this slide just nails the difference. Look, for color correction, the goal is accuracy. The process is technical, and the result is a clean canvas. For color grading, the goal is artistry. The process is creative, and the result is your final look. It's so important to get this order right. You have to correct first before you can get creative with your grade. So you might be wondering, how do the pros actually do this day in and day out? Well, the secret isn't some fancy plugin. It's just having a really organized, repeatable workflow. That's our digital canvas. And you know what? We can boil that whole professional workflow down to these three simple steps. Number 1, correction. That's building our foundation. Number 2, grading. That's where we get to sculpt with light and color. And number 3, finishing, where we add that last bit of polish. Okay, let's really dig into step 1, color correction, the foundation. I'm going to say it again because it's that important. You can't build a beautiful house on a shaky foundation. Getting a solid, perfectly balanced image at this stage is absolutely crucial before you even think about adding a creative look. So how do we do it? Well, these are your primary tools. You'll find them in pretty much any editing software. They're called the color wheels. Lift controls your shadows, the darkest parts of the picture. Gain controls your highlights, the brightest parts. And gamma handles the midtones, which is where all the most important stuff, like skin, usually is. So if your shadows look a bit too blue, you'd push a little yellow into the lift. If a face looks a little washed out, you might adjust the gamma. Getting these three to play nicely together is the core skill here. So what we're doing with those wheels is just balancing the red, green, and blue channels in our image. We're nudging them around until everything is perfectly neutral. The end goal, remember, is just that clean canvas. Accurate colors, a full range of tones from pure black to pure white, all ready for us to start painting. All right, the technical work is done. Our canvas is prepped. Now it's time for the artistry. This is where we give our footage a soul, a unique personality, and really dial in that emotional impact. Creative grading is all about making very specific, targeted choices. We can do things like isolate just the skin tones and give them a healthy, warm glow. Or we can make that blue sky really pop without making everything else look weird. We can even darken down the background a little bit to really draw the viewer's eye exactly where we want it. And yeah, this is where you create those famous looks, like pushing teal into the shadows and orange into the highlights to get that classic blockbuster feel. This really is storytelling with color. And hey, don't ever be intimidated by the fancy title colorist. I absolutely love this quote from our source material. If you get an image at the end that you're happy with, then you're a colorist. That's it. It's not about having $1 million setup. It's about getting a result that serves the story and that you're proud of.
We are so close. We're in the home stretch. The very last step is adding those final little touches, that subtle polish that takes your look from great to truly professional.
A perfect example of this is adding a little bit of film grain. Modern digital cameras can shoot footage that's almost too clean, too perfect. It can feel a bit sterile. By adding a subtle layer of grain, you give it this organic texture that just feels more cinematic. You can also add things like a slight vignette to darken the edges of the frame. It's these little things, that last 5%, that really make all the difference.
And that brings us right back to where we started. Remember this shot? Well, now you know the entire process behind that transformation. We started with that flat, raw footage on the left. We built the foundation with our technical correction. We sculpted it with our creative grade. And we added that final polish to get to this beautiful cinematic result on the right. So look, if you take only one thing away today, let it be this simple, powerful structure. Correction, grading, finishing. That's the workflow. Master that order, and you have the core of a professional process that you can use on literally any project you ever work on. Because at the end of the day, all these tools, all these techniques, they're all just serving one single purpose: to tell a better story. Color is one of the most powerful subconscious tools you have as a storyteller. So the only question left is, what story will you tell?